Today on Mina Studio, we're going to learn how to use OBS to live stream your online church service for free. Welcome to Mina Studio. My name is Nathan. With me as always is my tech director, Ronald, back there behind the keyboard. And today we're going to look at OBS. So I'll be making 3 OBS videos over the next 3 days. To help us in our current online-only situation. So today I'm going to talk about live streaming your online church service. Tomorrow I will talk about recording a sermon video or any video just on your computer with a webcam or other camera. And Friday I will talk about how to screencast your computer with like a picture of you in the corner so you can show people what you're doing on your screen. So let's start with how to live stream your online church service. So OBS is an open source broadcasting software, which basically just means it's a free piece of software you can use to send different video sources and such to your live stream. So of course, the first thing we need to do is get OBS. Again, it is free. You just need to go to obsproject.com, so you can get it for Windows, Mac, or Linux. Download your respective operating systems app and then install it, and we can get going. So here is OBS. This is what you'll see when you open it. Actually, what you see when you open it might look a little different. It might look something like this. Yeah. So I just changed the theme because I like darker screens. So if you don't like how this looks, which I do not, very first window in the settings, there's a theme. You can change it to dark and other things. Mine, I like, it's called a Rockney. So that's what I'm using. But either way, same function. And I'll show you how to do that in detail in just a little bit. So this is what we get when we start. You won't have all the scenes and stuff that I've already made on the bottom of the screen there. So let's start with some settings. And then we'll talk about how to make your actual worship service. So the first thing we want to do is create a new profile and scene selection. These are basically just saved files that we can click on that'll get us back to where we want to be with the settings we need for our broadcast. So first, create a new profile. We'll call it online service. So the profile saves your general OBS settings, and then scene collection. I have a new one of those. Name it the same thing, online service. And scene collection saves your scenes, basically, which I'll explain more in just a little bit. So now that we've got those, we can always go back and have the same settings when we open. So you can see on profile, I'll select online service, scene selection, online service. Next, let's set our general settings for streaming. These are very important. You can get to your settings by going OBS preferences on the top or down here, settings. Click on settings and your settings menu will come up. These are your general settings for the OBS app, and these are the things that will be saved in that profile we created. So here, the first one, general, that's where I changed the theme. If you want to make it look darker, it affects nothing other than how the app looks on your screen. Language is obvious. Everything else on the screen should be just fine the way it is. Now stream, this is important. This is where you set where OBS sends your stream to, like YouTube, Twitch, anywhere else. So this we're going to set up real quick. This you'll need to go to every time you stream, because you'll probably have a different stream key. If you don't know what a stream key is, it's just a unique set of numbers. It's basically kind of like a URL address. It's different with every stream so that OBS knows exactly where to send that stream to. So if you're streaming on YouTube, I'll show you real quick where you can find this stream key. So if you need to create a new stream, say you're just starting your online service, you click on this little button on the top here and then go live. Don't worry, it won't immediately go live. Then we can create a new stream, like so. New stream. Name it whatever we want. Online service 1. You can set your descriptions, if it's public, private, etc. I'm going to make it private just because I don't want you to see it. You'd probably go public. And then schedule for later is how you schedule a service, so you're not going live right now. So set the date you want, Friday, April 3rd. Sure. You can set everything else, create stream. Once you create that stream like I just did, and it loads, you'll see right here, first thing that pops up is the stream key. So this little blanked out set of numbers, I can click show here. That is your stream key. So you're going to copy that right there, that stream key, copy that, and then put it right here where it says stream key. First, I'm going to set my service to YouTube. Since I'm streaming on YouTube, it also has options for Mixer, Twitch, Restream, etc. So I'm going YouTube, and then I'll copy my stream key in there. I can show it if I want to make sure it's the same. And now OBS knows where to stream your service to. So you need to do that every time you stream a service because your stream key will probably be different. Then we go to output. Most of this is okay. Video bitrate 25. Sometimes I bump mine up to 3000, but 25 is okay. You can pretty much leave everything here the same. Audio, you can pretty much leave the same. Video, you want to make sure your base canvas is 1920 by 1080, and also your output is 1920 by 1080. So this is just setting what resolution we're going to stream in, and well, first it sets the size of base canvas we use, which basically means it gives us a 1080p blank slate to use, and then it'll broadcast out a 1080p signal. Now, unless you have a reason not to go 1080p, you should go 1080p. Unless you have really slow internet and need to go 720p, I would keep that at 1080p. FPS value 30, that should be fine unless you have a specific reason to change it. And everything else we will keep the same. Click apply at the bottom, then click OK. Now we've got our settings for our stream. Those are now saved in our profile. We shouldn't have to touch any of those again, other than that stream key will change every time we stream. Now we can start setting up our scenes and our whole service. So let me go over the parts of OBS very quickly. So this big black screen in the middle is our viewer. That will be what's going out. We'll add some stuff to that as we go along. Then here at the bottom you see scenes and you see sources. So each scene has its own sources. You can kind of picture it like scenes are the entire picture and sources are the pieces of that picture. That didn't make a lot of sense, did it? I'll explain that in more detail when we make some. Mixer here will show our audio, and then over here is our start streaming, start recording buttons. So let's start by adding a scene. So scenes are what you're going to click through, and it's going to change what's going out to your live stream. For instance, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, or maybe worship video, then pre-recorded sermon video, countdown. All the different elements of your service will be different scenes. So we've got our first scene already made here. And we can title that whatever we want. If I right click on it, I can rename it. I'll rename it Countdown. We'll start with a countdown. And then inside that scene we have the sources here. Right now we don't have any. So we'll add a source. I'm going to make a countdown, and OBS actually comes with its own built-in countdown timer. So I'm going to show you how to create a countdown right now. So to create a countdown, the first thing you need to do is you click this little plus button on the bottom there, and that's how you add a source or an input into your scene. So I'm going to add a text box, and I'm going to title that countdown. So this will be our countdown text. Click OK. Oops, already in use. Oh, my scene's called countdown, so we'll title it countdown timer. And here I edit my text. You can type in whatever you want here. This isn't going to show. I'm typing timer. That's never going to say timer. We're just setting up our text. You can select your font. Let's go with some random font. Let's go, I don't know what that'll look like, but we'll go with that one. That's a little strange looking. I can make it bigger. Let's make it 144. I don't like that text. I'm going to go with something else. Menlo. How about Menlo? That looks normal. Click OK. And there we go. We can see our timer. I'll click OK. Right now, just this timer, we're going to turn it into a countdown now. So what you need to do to turn it into a countdown is go to Tools, up at the top, then Scripts. And this is the most complicated thing you'll do today, I promise. And then you won't have anything loaded there like this. So you click this plus button, and hopefully it'll take you to this Scripts folder. You select countdown.lua, open. Then if you click on that, it'll give you the options of your countdown. Here's your minutes. You can only do whole minutes, can't do seconds. So I'm going to do 5 minutes. Then I'm going to select my text source that I just made. So that's the countdown timer. That's the one we just created. And now you can see my timer turned on. My text turned into a timer. And you can set a final text like starting soon and close. And now we have a timer. You can resize this and such, or you can resize it by double clicking on the text box and editing the text again. So now we have our timer. We can also add some text like service begins in. So I'll click that add button again, and I'll click text again. We'll type begins. So this is the title of that begins. There we go. And now I'll type worship begins in. You can select your fonts and such. I'm going to make it 144. Okay. Then you can drag this around your canvas, so something like that. Now this isn't super pretty. You can make yours look much better with better text, fonts and such, but there's a basic timer now. If you want, you could add an image behind the whole thing, or a color or anything like that. Let's say you want to add an image, so you click that plus button. Again, this is how we're adding pieces to our scene. We'll go to image, add an image. We'll say background. Then here it'll have a little browse button where you can find your image. Let's find us an image. Sure. Strange image, but why not? Click OK. And as you can see, it's way too big because the image resolution is much bigger than 1080. So we're going to drag that corner, move it, drag that corner, move it, drag that corner, move it, get it down to the right size, drag that corner, move it. Almost there. There we go. So it'll snap to the top. We can drag it out, make it snap to the side. All right, there's our image. And now we've lost our other things because they're behind the image. The order of what you see on screen is what order these are in. So if I take this background and drag it down the sources, oop, I froze. It'll go behind everything else like so. That's a hideous countdown screen, but you get the idea. So now we've got a countdown screen. And whenever you go back to that scene, the countdown will start over. So we've got our countdown, our hideous, hideous countdown screen. Now let's add a whole nother scene. So we go over to the scenes box here. Add, let's say worship. Okay. So now I have another scene, so you can see I can click between these two screens, and that's what it'll send out to your live stream. So we've got our worship scene. We'll say this is when they're playing worship. Now probably you'll either have a camera or a pre-recorded video. I'm assuming for this video, for the purposes of this video, you're not a huge church with multicam setups and your own live streaming station you already use, because you probably don't need this video. Right now, I'm assuming you're a church that's maybe making these videos from home and putting them together, or maybe just some quick cameras you just bought set up in your sanctuary, that sort of situation. So you're probably using either a video that your worship leader recorded already and sent to you, that you'll broadcast out on your live stream, or you have a live feed coming in. So if we have a live camera we're using, we go over to our sources, plus, and then video, there it is, video capture device, and that will be our camera. I'll say camera 1. And I select my device. It'll have a list of whatever cameras are plugged into your computer. I'll have my webcam. There it is. And then it only has an option for 1280 720. Sometimes it won't have all the right options. If you don't see the right resolution, you unclick this Use Preset box. then it'll have all the resolutions. I don't know why it does that. So select 1080p, make sure it's 1080p, and then the frame rate 30 is probably what you want. And okay, there we go. We have my camera. I'll stretch that out so it's the full screen. Obviously, you could add other things and make a smaller camera, like if you had multiple shots you wanted to show or something. I'll leave it full screen. So there's our live camera that will broadcast out. So now you can see we have our countdown scene. And then when that countdown's over, we can just press the down arrow on our keyboard. It'll go to the next scene, which is our live camera here. Our worship leader, if you will. Now, if you have a pre-recorded video, I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to take away this live camera by hitting that minus button. Yes, I want to remove it. So let's add a source. And instead of video capture, for a pre-recorded video, we will use media source. So click on media source. Go worship video. And then you select a video file that's already on your computer that it will play when you go to that scene. Let's see. This was just me testing my setup the other day. Then you want to make sure that restart playback when source becomes active is checked, and show nothing when playback ends is checked. I click OK. There's our video playing right now. See, I'm not touching it. It's just playing. So if we go back to the countdown, click our up arrow to go back to our scene with the countdown. Our countdown starts over. Then we go down to our worship video scene. Our video starts over. So whenever you click back to this video scene, it'll start over. So that's important. So once you go live, you want to go to your video scene and then don't touch it till the video's over, because if you do, it'll start all the way over. I know. You can't really control the playback once you're in there, which is both good and bad, because you can't accidentally pause, but you can't on purpose pause either. All right, so we've got a pre-recorded video there. I think you kind of get the idea now. So if we have a sermon afterwards, we can go to scenes, add another scene, sermon. Then we'll go to our sources in that scene, and we'll add a live camera, video capture device, sermon camera. Okay. Then just like we did before, select our camera, undo use preset, select 1080p, 30 frames a second, or whatever you're using. And there we go. There's our sermon video. So now we have 3 scenes. We have this countdown, then we have our worship video plays when we click on it. Then we have our live camera for the sermon. I can make this full screen, or maybe you have some pictures or sermon notes you want to use. You can add more things to the scene, like maybe I want to put some text on there. Name. Maybe the title, Pastor. Whoops, that's not how you spell pastor. Pastor Nathan. Okay. Here it is up here. Got my name pop up if we'd like. Put it over here. And as you add things to your scene, you can also turn them on and off. So for instance, once I go to the scene, I have 2 sources. I have my sermon camera and I have my name. If you click this little eyeball next to it, that will show it and hide it. So if I click it, it'll hide my name or show my name. Same with the camera. Hide the camera. Show the camera. So that way, if you have an element in your scene that you just want out for a little bit, for instance, this, Pastor Nate, you can take that off after a while by clicking that little eyeball. Now let's talk about audio real quick. So you can see here when I clicked on my worship video scene, the worship video audio popped up in our audio mixer. If I was making any noise, you could see it playing, but I don't think I am. There you can see the audio going. I'm not making much noise in this video, but also next to your audio, you have this little settings button, and if you go to filters, you can actually add effects such as reverb, expanders, gates, compressors, and such, for maybe if you want to add those for worship music. They're not the best quality in the world, but they are there. You can see here on my live camera, it did not come up with an audio source. Sometimes it will automatically. If it doesn't, you can add one by going into audio input capture. Audio input capture. And then select whatever microphone you're using or camera. So for instance, if I just have this webcam, select the webcam microphone, And there we go. Now you can see my audio down there, audio input capture. That's my microphone. You can also see it's just jumping up towards red, so it's a little higher than we want. So turn it down just a bit. Check, 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 check. Bring it up till it's in the orange right there, but not going into the red. You can also notice there's a slight delay on my voice to the image here. That will happen a lot with streaming. If you need to correct that, you click this little settings button and then advanced audio properties. So settings, advanced audio properties, and then you'll have to play around and figure out a sync offset. I know from testing that mine is 250 milliseconds, which means my audio and video are off from each other 250 milliseconds. So this will add a delay to the audio, so it'll sync up with my video. Close. You can also click down mix to mono, which I usually do, just so I don't have different things in speakers unless it's music and you want that. Close, and there we go. Now it should be synced up a little bit better. So we've got all of our scenes in there. We're almost ready to stream. The next thing I always do is a test recording. This way it can test all your volumes, make sure all your volumes are a similar level. You don't want to be blasted by a pre-recorded video and then can't hear the camera audio at all. So once you have this ready to go, over here you have start streaming, start recording. Make sure you hit start recording so you're not streaming. So if I hit start recording, or a test recording, I can look at my countdown, then I'll go to my worship video. Now I can see my worship video. I'll go to my sermon. Now I can test my sermon and stop recording. See how that turned out? All right, so we've done our test recording. We've created all of our scenes. We're ready to stream. So once you are ready to start streaming, you hit this start streaming button. That will start sending this feed to whatever place you entered in your stream key. So when I hit that start streaming button, this, whatever's on my screen, will be going live to YouTube and that YouTube event I made and entered the stream key for. In YouTube, you then have to hit go live on YouTube as well. So once you hit start streaming on OBS, you're not immediately live. You don't have to worry. You then have to hit it again on YouTube, but some places like Facebook are different. They immediately go live when you hit start streaming on OBS. So you might want to check that out too. But so we hit start streaming and then we're streaming live to YouTube. What is coming out of it, what you see in OBS will be about 30 seconds ahead of what is in YouTube. Or in other words, the YouTube video you see live will be about 30 seconds behind what you see in OBS. So you can open YouTube as a preview to make sure everything's going, but don't fear when things don't happen right away because there's about a 30-second delay from when you actually do it in OBS. Then you hit stop streaming. And there you go. You just streamed your online church service with OBS. Hope that wasn't too complicated. I know OBS is not the most user-friendly program, but once you get used to using it, it's actually not too difficult. There's a lot that you can do in OBS. I just tried to cover the very basics of streaming an online service, the scenes and sources and your settings. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I know it's a tough time right now and we're all doing things that we're not used to, using technology we don't really know how to use. So I'll try to answer any OBS questions you have to the best of my ability. Good luck with your new online streaming services, and I will see you back here soon.